Despite this arc starting off very happy and heartfelt, and the opening song giving off a emotion of just happiness, there is definitely some things going on behind the scenes building up to something radical, something truly dark and depressing. Endeavor in All Might scene has to be my favorite moments of this episode. Now, obviously, you can argue me and say the other stuff with the kids and Todoroki, Bakugo, and all of them is amazing, which it is. But personally, I really like seeing Endeavor as a character kind of express himself and get character development with very few words. Just his expression and the way certain words he says to All Might carry so much weight, and it reflects onto some of the things we've already previously seen throughout the anime series from Season 3 and beforehand. So I kind of want to go over all of that and kind of the development that Endeavor got within this episode. So, obviously, we should start at the origin point. Endeavor is someone that's always been in heated discussions. Like, talking about the said character Endeavor, he's always in heated discussions. People are always throwing him under the bus for obvious reasons, because of what he's done to his family. People don't like him because he destroyed his family. You know, Todoroki's mother, and the hospital, we have Todoroki's face, what's happened to their entire family, basically broken and shattered. Endeavor's a monster, there's a lot of things we have seen. Endeavor is not a good person by any means. I said he's a good hero, but he's not a good person. So Endeavor's always been someone that is hated, someone that's been talked about in a nasty light, and many just want to continuously hate him and not give him a chance. And this is something that it holds very true to this very day. I personally think Endeavor is one of my favorite characters of the series. And the reason why I say that is not because he's a horrible person, but it's because he is a flawed person. He's such a flawed person that it makes me really engaged with his character. He feels human. He feels like someone that can fail. He feels like someone that isn't perfect. And I know when it comes to shonen series or certain stories, it's supposed to make you feel empowered. Like, oh, everybody can do it. Everybody can accomplish something, etc. That's the type of emotions sometimes shonen love to convey to its audience. But Endeavor, being a flawed character, harbors different emotions. He's someone that has lost purpose but is having to change as well. And to get into it, let's look at what his motivation was in the first place. We even see him talk about it within this episode. So he talks to All Might like he was constantly climbing for a very long time, climbing a sheer bluff, climbing a mountain to reach the top. And when he finally managed to reach to the top of the mountain, when he looked upon the entirety of the landscape, he noticed a taller mountain before him. It's something that he might not ever be able to reach, never reach. The gap between him and the other mountaintop was something so vast, he would never reach it in his lifetime. And it harbors so much emotion in that scene. It harbors despair and loss of purpose, and just like figuring out that there's nothing you can do. Just, there's nothing that you would be able to do to ever catch up to said person. And this leads into Endeavor's entire origin point, and where everything kind of spiraled down and went wrong, which leads to Shoto, Todoroki. We know what Endeavor did. He forced upon Shoto Todoroki to be the next number one. He wanted him to be the strongest hero. He tried to make a boy with a strong quirk. He didn't really view his son like a son. He viewed him more like a tool to be able to surpass All Might. We know the origin story, so I want to skim over the details. But the point is that we know what Endeavor was doing. And the reason why he did this was because when he reached the top of the mountain and he became the second place hero, he realized he would never be able to bridge that gap. He would never be able to make it to the number one spot. So he relied on his son to be able to do it. And that is where he put all his faith, all his passion, all his hopes, all of his thoughts and feelings that he has had built up inside of him for a very long time within his son. And so when Todoroki turned his back to him, obviously it crushed Endeavor's spirits, especially a long time ago within the series. Then we step forward into Season 3, when Endeavor comes face to face with the very man he's been trying to catch up to for a very long time. All Might versus All for One. It is a very iconic moment, such a big moment in fact, and it holds so many emotions for so many characters because it really changed the entirety of the vibe of the series. See, when you really look at Endeavor and what he saw when he looked at All Might, he saw a broken man, a man that was barely able to stand, someone that was long past his prime. But even though he was long past his prime, the gap between him and Endeavor was so massive, in fact, that it scared him. He realized it was scarier than it ever was, that it's possible that even Todoroki himself would never be able to catch up to what All Might really is. And you even see this emotion conveyed in that arc, where Endeavor's like, he despairs. You see his face in shock when he sees what really All Might is, what he's become, what he's been, on his shoulders for a very long time, what he's been holding on to. And I think that was a big moment for Endeavor to really snap and start to change. He realized that his objective, his goal, would never be accomplished. He failed multiple times. He failed the first time climbing the summit, reaching second place, and then realizing he would never be number one thanks to how big the gap is. Then the whole situation with his son and how his son basically was like, I want nothing to do with you. I will not work to be your slave, your tool, etc. That was another failure for Endeavor. Then you have the third when he realizes just he will never be able to achieve that spot and overcome All Might because All Might had to step down. He had to take a forced retirement. He fell as the symbol of peace. And this was a major wake-up call because his lifelong goal, something he's been working hard for so long, something he has given so much time and effort, blood and sweat to achieve, was lost in a moment. He realized he would never be able to achieve said objective. And he was given the title of number one, not because he was able to best All Might and overcome him as the hero he wanted to be, but he became number one because All Might had to step down, and he had just got the rank because he needed to be the first place since he just moved up in the ranking since the number one went down. And it's kind of sad, honestly, because it really shows kind of a different side to what the main messages was of the previous episodes with, Togata. Togata was a man that was training so hard, spent so much time, and he lost it all in a fraction of a second, but he didn't let it get him down. He kept moving forward. And you can see something very similar has kind of happened to Endeavor. He's moving forward, but he's kind of limping forward. And he doesn't really know what to do. He's very concerned and stuck on what he should do next, because he realizes that there's a lot more to being number one hero than just saying you're the strongest, oh, I'm the best hero, etc. There's a lot more to it than that. And when he conveys his emotions to All Might, it's very brief, but you can see how All Might himself says, you're not acting the same, you're not acting how you normally are. And he's like, what is the symbol of peace? And All Might conveys to him, like, in school and all that, I kept running one day, and then I wanted to save people. I wanted to make people smile, make them feel happy and safe. And he kept running towards that objective until he finally got it. But because of that objective, he sacrificed many things to achieve it. For instance, Night Eye and his relationship with him. There may be other things, some lingering regret within All Might thanks to just what happened to Night Eye very recently. Because no matter what he does, he'll never get back those years he missed thanks to kind of separating himself from Night Eye to be the number one hero. So there's a lot of things there. Basically, there's conflicting emotions on both sides. But All Might's like, you don't have to be what I am. You can be something different. You don't have to be this symbol of peace. And the question is, what will Endeavor become? What symbol will he become? And it's interesting that Endeavor even admits to himself that he realizes he's been saving more people than normal, even more so. And he's been saving them more than ever, and technically, when you look at the numbers, he's been saving more, and more people's been saved than even when All Might was around. But for some reason, crime rate is still rising. The question is, why is that? Well, it goes into the main message of what All Might stands for. He is not just a hero, but he's like an icon. He is literally a pillar. And when the pillar falls, this symbol that deters, just his very name deters villains, and he's gone, villains obviously creep and rise out of the shadows. And that's basically what Endeavor was trying to imply, is that no matter how many people he saves, no how much time he puts into being a hero, no matter what he does, it can't stop the rising crime rate and these villains coming back and, causing harm and havoc to everybody around. And it just shows how important All Might was, how big of shoes he left behind when he stepped down. And Endeavor is starting to feel that weight, that everybody is looking for someone. Everybody is looking for a new All Might, and obviously everybody's attention is on Endeavor, because with him the title of number 1, there's going to be a lot of comparison, regardless if it's fair or not, and we know the story, etc. People are going to be comparing, because it's common sense. It's human to do that, and when they look at Endeavor, they see someone that doesn't have the same vibe as All Might. They see someone very grouchy, very angry, someone that doesn't have this, personality to where you can approach them. While All Might has some personality to where you can approach him, hug him, ask for autographs, etc., everything is fine. So I really think that Endeavor, he's getting slammed for a variety of things that make sense, and he realizes now what All Might has been having to deal with by himself for a very long time, the weight of being the number 1. And this is a major step forward for Endeavor as a character, realizing what it really means to be number 1, but also realizing that he needs to figure out a new objective, a new goal, something he can work towards instead of always trying to beat All Might, since that is no longer possible. And I just find it amazing that the very person he confronts about this is All Might, the only person that he's ever wanted to surpass. There's some honest, really good emotion in that. I really love this episode for that very moment within this part of the series. And I just say, even if the episode was just focused on that alone, I would have been satisfied. But let's get into the other stuff. So, the other side of this episode is Todoroki, Inasa, Bakugo, and Kami working with the children to make them believe in them. Basically win over the children's hearts, which makes a lot of sense when you think about what a hero is supposed to do. Yes, we know heroes are supposed to save the day. They're supposed to stop the evil villain. They're supposed to stop people from dying, rescue them, etc. We know the typical, stuff of what a hero means. But also, there's a lot more to it than that, and My Hero Academia has definitely shown this multiple times, is that, it's not just about being a hero, it's about how the public views you, which Endeavor's now getting, we're seeing that type of viewpoint, but also how children view you, because it's not just, let's say, the people, the citizens, like the adults watching you, but it's the children, the next generation, and all these upcoming heroes like Izuku, Bakugo, Todoroki, Ochiko, etc., I could keep continuously naming. The point is that they're all looking up to them. These new generation of kids are looking up to these upcoming heroes, watching their quirks, etc., and seeing who potentially could become the number 1 one day. And obviously, there are going to be many that's going to be inspired by one of our characters and want to live up to be just like them. Like, look at, Kirishima and how he wants to be like the one he admires, or how Todoroki, Bakugo, and Izuku want to be like All Might. There's a lot of examples of this, that there is people that looks up to these idols, and these children here, a part of this group, might look up to one of our 4 characters within this episode as the hero they want to be. I could definitely see that, which is just amazing to think about. So, if our group of characters can't win over the hearts of kids and make them have fun and open up, etc., and admire them, then they've already failed as heroes. Because heroes should be someone you admire, someone that you want to be like, or someone that you're like, oh, that's cool, etc. That's what you should view a hero as. And I think it's just really cool to see that little element thrown in, but it can easily be missed if you're really not paying attention to it. Now, when it comes to the whole dynamic with all the characters and all that, it's very funny, it's lighthearted, obviously, and we get kind of the introduction of Kami as a character. Now, okay, to clarify, we all know, thanks to this episode clarifying for those that did not catch it, Kami was not the real Kami when we first met her a long time ago in the previous season. That was actually Toga turning into Kami using like a duplicate, and Kami was somewhere else, basically unconscious wherever, having her blood completely drawn out of her. So, obviously, Kami, we really have not met her real personality. And we finally get to see it, and you can just see she's very eccentric, she's very wacky the way she talks, and it makes sense why Toga was kind of able to fit in perfectly just because of how Kami talks talks and interacts with others. You know, it's pretty lit, to be honest. But, jokes aside, though, I know that was bad. We also have just, you know, other characters really getting to shine, like Inasa, and how, you know, he's trying to make up for his failure in the past with Todoroki and Bakugo and try to get along. I just really appreciate these little elements of this episode, kind of showcasing the growth of all these characters, even our side characters, and where they might go one day. But I want to leave it at that. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoy my content, you know, please subscribe. If you like this video, please leave a like. And if you want to get notified for whenever I upload a video, please click the bell icon down below. And with that, Chibi out.